Zeus really is one of the most dynamic of the ancient Greek gods. Sure, he eventually transitioned into the Roman Empire and changed his name to Jupiter, but nothing will top the amount of rich and interesting stories born from the shenanigans of the Greek Zeus. Let's take a look at the 10 times that Zeus used shapeshifting or transformations to seduce someone or take them away. It should come as no surprise that 4 of his transformations are birds in some way. He is the king of the gods and the lord of the sky, so it makes sense. One of his transformations is one of his most famous ones, the eagle. If you ever go to a museum and reach the classical arts section, then maybe you will see eagles. More often than not, eagles represent power and dominance of the sky, and quite possibly those eagles would be Zeus himself in the painting. His most famous incarnation as an eagle happened when he took the young handsome man named Ganymede up to Olympus. He was so enamored by this boy that he became the cupbearer of the gods. One of the most famous depictions of this event is Peter Paul Rubens' Rape of Ganymede. This is also one of the most famous cases of Zeus falling for a young man. Next up, we have the swan and the goose. The reason I put these two together has to do with a potential child. Leda and the Swan is another impressive piece of art also by Peter Paul Rubens. This interaction between the swan Zeus and Leda resulted in the birth of the twins Castor and Pollux, legendary heroes of Troy, and Clytemnestra, the eventual wife of Agamemnon. Zeus approached the goddess of revenge, Nemesis, daughter of Nyx, disguised as a goose. This interaction resulted in the birth of Helen of Troy. Now, it is more accepted that Helen was born to Nemesis, but some sources say that she was also the twin sister of Clytemnestra, daughter of Leda. Another bird transformation is that of the cuckoo. Zeus transformed into this bird to woo or seduce Hera, his sister. We all know that Hera became queen of Olympus and one of the more powerful goddesses of the pantheon, but this wooing really shows us that Zeus had to earn her affection. I mean, Zeus and Hera have a complicated relationship. We all know this. She is basically his equal when it comes to power. One time she even tried overthrowing Zeus, but that's a tale for another time. Before becoming his wife though, she kept the cuckoo, or cuckoo Zeus, as a pet for a while, not knowing he was the lord of lightning. Thus, this bird is both a symbol of Zeus and Hera. Another animal commonly associated with Zeus and his incredible power is the bull. In one instance, he turned into a bull to kidnap and take Europa across the sea, all the way to the island of Crete, where she gave birth to several children, including the future King Minos, the adopted father of the Minotaur. This scene though, this story has much more of a cultural implication, as the symbol of the bull is found throughout the lives of Minos and throughout the culture of ancient Crete. It is a representation of a shifting of power from the east to the more western Greek and Mycenaean era. All of these situations are pretty weird for Zeus to take a lover, but the most uncomfortable one for me is perhaps when Zeus turns into Amphitryon, a mortal man. Amphitryon was the husband of Alcmene. Zeus posed as her husband and secured her. Of course, this has uncomfortable connotations, but this union between them led to the birth of Heracles or Hercules, one of the most famous of all the demigods. This also shows that Heracles, like many other heroes, has 2 potential fathers, an adoptive one and a divine one. Another messed up situation is when Zeus transforms into his own daughter, Artemis, to seduce Callisto, one of Artemis's own followers. Some stories say that he transformed into Apollo, but I believe more sources say Artemis. Being one of the followers of Artemis, Callisto would not lie with another man, nor would she have been comfortable bathing around a man either. Having transformed into Artemis, Callisto must have felt comfortable around the goddess until it was too late. Callisto became the mother of Arcas of Arcadia. Out of anger, Artemis transformed Callisto into a bear, and in a sad twist of fate, the young Arcas was out hunting one day and came across a bear not knowing it was his mother. Hoping to put a stop to a tragic event from occurring, Zeus lifted them both into the heavens and they became the constellations Ursa Major and Ursa Minor. In another case, Zeus turned into another creature, the wild satyr. As a satyr, a mischievous wild being known for having an aggressive temper, Zeus approached and seduced Antiope, the mother of Amphion and Zethus, the legendary founders of Thebes, a popular and powerful city-state. All of these transformations have led to interesting stories, but for the most part, Zeus becomes another living thing, be it a person, a creature, or an animal. In some rare occasions though, Zeus has transformed into non-living things. One such story speaks of how Zeus transformed into a pile of golden dust or golden sand and visited Danae, the eventual mother of another great hero, Perseus, who you may remember as the hero who killed Medusa and, in the Clash of the Titans movies, killed the Kraken. Zeus also visited Aegina in the form of a pile of fire. Because of this interaction, the bloodline that eventually leads to Achilles, a hero of Troy, was born. Talking about Zeus's conquest is fascinating and a little bit troublesome. However, it is good to see this side of the king of Olympus. He can't simply just approach. He has to, well, in a way use trickery, go through other channels to acquire his goals. Sometimes it's just hiding from his wife, other times is not to really interact with the fates or the destiny of humanity. For many of the ancients, these were just stories to explain or to give importance certain events or connect certain people with the sky. Zeus's lore, his myths, and the history of how he used to come down and interact with the mortal world is, in reality, the combination of thousands of stories and generations of oral storytelling that were eventually written down and thankfully have made it to the modern day. Hopefully this list helped you with understanding the lengths a god would go to follow his passions, while his wife probably looked angrily on and planted her revenge. If you enjoyed this list, please let me know in the comments who you want to learn about next. Also, did I miss any of the transformations? Let me know if I did in the comments for a future video. Thank you.